The Tri-Ethnic Committee has finally filed its first monthly report with federal judge William McTaylor. It was 30 days late, but the judge says this doesn't bother him. In their summary of findings, they say it is difficult to comment meaningfully on whether or not the ordered plan is achieving its goals. The committee understands it is to be the responsibility, one, whether the Dallas Independent School District is complying with the order, and two, whether or not the order is achieving a unitary system consistent with providing quality education for all students. The committee does assume that responsibility and will report in detail in the near future. The Tri-Ethnic Committee was established to kind of be a go-betweener, if you will, between the school district and the court in this desegregation plan, which is under appeal to the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals. It has dealt a great deal with complaints, not only from students and parents, but from the schools as well. The committee has received complaints as of November 11th regarding student assignments, the behavior of black students, discrimination toward black students, suspensions of black students, transportation, teacher assignments, teacher unemployment, teacher performance, and it has received inquiries as to the disposition of matters concerning the seniors of Crozier Tech High School and Madison High School. The Tri-Ethnic Committee and its 15 members are trying to be the go-between. But it's all up for grabs, as the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals will look at the whole project on December 2nd. From the federal courthouse in downtown Dallas, this is Jim Mitchell, Channel 8 News on the Move.
Funeral services here at the Pleasant Grove Christian Church were attended by Johnny's family, friends, classmates, and colleagues. The Reverend Richard H. Chilton spoke of the slain officer. Plans were that the body would be taken to Wichita, Kansas for burial, a place Johnny knew well. He attended college there and was a reserve deputy there before he moved to Dallas. Plans now, however, have been changed. Interment will be in the police section at Westland Memorial Park, where Johnny will be among colleagues who have also given their lives for the city and the citizens of Dallas. Johnny is the first Dallas policeman to be gunned down on duty since Patrolman Robert Shipp was killed in January of last year. Johnny Hartwell died early Wednesday morning after he and his partner, James E. Clark, stopped a truck on suspicion of driving while intoxicated. Johnny was shot as he got out of the car, but he managed to wound his assailant as he fell. Dallas Police Chief Frank Dyson has already spoken of Johnny Hartwell's devotion to what he felt was right. This is Phil Reynolds, Channel 8 News on the Move in Pleasant Grove.
Well, now let me, we're all on a radio channel now. A policeman is a policeman. And do not expect anyone that's out here trying to enforce the DWI laws or speed laws to overlook an armed robbery. So we're not classifying ourselves and putting ourselves in a little bitty shell. We're still police officers. That's what we came to be, and that's what we'll continue to do.
This is going to be a roving patrol then, rather than in a stationary spot stopping every driver that goes by.
That's correct. We're going to keep cruising. We're in movement all the time. You see, we all use marked vehicles and unmarked vehicles both. The predominance will be probably in marked vehicles. So we're not on under surveillance or staked out on anybody.
Well, I like playing defense. I mean, because I feel like the postman's job is to play defense. And you can prove this by Bill Russell and everything. But I think defense is the postman's job, really.
And when you are on the offense, what's your favorite shot?
Well, my favorite shot is the fall-away jump shot, about 10 to 12 feet. And I use this an awful lot. And I do try to hook sometime, but I guess it's because I don't have confidence, and it's the reason that I don't use it, because I practiced on it several summers during college career and everything.
Do the fans in the stands miss some of the elbows and shoving and pushing that goes on underneath the basket?
Yes, they do. It's a lot of shoving and pushing going on there, and it really gets rough at times. You know, you get bruises and things, and you don't realize you have them until you go shower and you start to drying your body off, and you say, oh, it's sore here, you know, and you have bruises and things you don't realize.
We plan to try to control the football some, because as strong as Texas is offensively, we're going to have a problem if we don't control the football. Anytime you give the football to Texas, you're in trouble, because they control it quite a lot themselves. And we're going to have to control the football as much as we possibly can and keep our defense off the field.
But doesn't it bring you to a dilemma as far as not wanting to turn it over to them, therefore not wanting to pass much, and yet not being able to move it on the ground against their ground defense?
Well, we're going to have a pretty well balanced attack. We're going to try to run the football some, and then we're going to throw the football in situations when we have to. And then I certainly hope that we're fortunate enough to be able to move it so that we won't have to give it over to them. It does put you between a rock and a hard spot.
Well, I think it's the normal feelings. The Razorbacks are trying to get everything out of their system before they play us, and then they'll play us a great game. This has traditionally happened. We watch Arkansas on films each year against some of the other teams just prior to playing us, and they make practically every mistake in the book. And then we go in the ball game thinking we're going to get all these fumbles and interceptions, and they don't make a mistake. So I think we've learned our lesson. We're not going to take Arkansas lightly, and of course we have no reason to take them lightly. But Texas A&M defeated Arkansas and SMU about the same, so I'm hopeful that this 17 to 24 point spread that the experts are giving the Razorbacks is not true. I'm hopeful merely due to the fact that it's on television that the Mustangs will play their typical close, hard-charging ball game.
What do you think of Ferguson?
I think Ferguson is possibly the greatest passer in America today. He's just fantastic. He's got everything that you look for in a quarterback, and he's also a great young man.
The United Transportation Union, with a great number of its members working for railroads, could force a break in the standards announced for Phase 2 of President Nixon's controls in wages and prices. The United Transportation Union, or UTU, holds the capability of bringing to a screeching halt the distribution of this nation's goods. It's happened before in major union strikes. And now the railroad workers are not satisfied with the limits applied to wage increases by the Nixon administration. Yardmen of the UTU working for Texas Pacific and Missouri Railroad have been denied 2 negotiated raises because they were not put into effect before the 90-day freeze. Mr. Reynolds, is the 5.5% ceiling on the pay increase going to be enough for your union members?
Well, I don't think so. If we had the 4% that is due us April the 1st, then I think the 5.5% would be sufficient.
Has there been any talk about a strike again?
Well, not in particular, only what you see in the newspapers. Personally, if it keeps on like this, there could be one. I think that we've been wronged by not getting our retroactive pay, and I know that all of my members depended on it for Christmas, and there'll be a short Christmas, let's put it that way.
Texas Pacific and Missouri spent $6 million on this new computerized switching yard in Fort Worth this year. The railroad company, of course, wants to see it remain open without interruption. The UTU members want to continue working, but they also want the pay they feel is due them through a ratified contract. a contract which cost them several concessions without any appreciable monetary gains in the near future. Jim Green, Channel 8 News on the Move in Fort Worth.
Why don't you go ahead? You were telling me about it. That's what you told me. I was like, correct the speech then. It's really nice.
Now, the thing he said causing them the most problems, if they've never been seen before, then they don't have any parental consent, so they can't treat it. So all they have to do is to go out and send them over to Parkland.
I'd like to tell you about the center. Different agencies we have run special education child care community boss, put to some of the agencies down. I would appreciate if you would tell them to come down to the summit.
With Mr. J.B. Jackson. Do you know him?
No, I don't.
And also the deputy director of the DCA, Marcus Ranger.
I see.
We meet there every Friday night.
I have your name, they love you. Let's see what kind of.
Yeah, we're drafting up a questionnaire now.
Well, to give you an example or an idea, well, here.
So that's further on.
Those are some of the questions right there. You
Well, actually, it was what we call a quick turnout route, about 5 yards and out. And when he caught it, well, I came over and grabbed him around the neck, and his head hit the face part of the camera, and my leg hit the tripod that holds the camera. And I twisted my ankle, and plus a real bad bruise on the side of the leg. And it's just been difficult for me to try to get it together for some reason.
You know, I think the last time that you and I stood and talked like this was just after the Philadelphia game. You had had a great day up there. I'm sure you're looking forward to getting back into the lineup against Lisk and that bunch.
Yeah, I certainly am. I'm hoping to duplicate my performance, too.
You know, they've come on quite a bit, haven't they?
No doubt about it. They won the 2 games, and they tied the Washington Redskins, or the Redskins tied them. They're playing great football, and they don't have anything to lose. They're coming in here, and if we're not ready, we could be in for some trouble.
As a mustachioed young man, do you suppose that Kayat's dictum that they shave all their mustaches had anything to do with that?
No, I doubt that very seriously. Just a discipline thing I saw where he was saying something like that, but mustache, long hair, I don't think it has anything to do with football playing.
We have some juniors coming back that played quite a bit last year. Mark Worley and Steve Emsoff are 2 of our biggest youngsters, and they're a little bigger and a little stronger than they were a year ago. And of course, for us to have a successful year, these 2 boys will have to do a job and do a better job than they did a year ago. But overall, we're going to be a relatively young team, playing mostly sophomores and juniors. We do have 4 seniors on the ball club, but we don't feel that there's as much talent in that senior class as in our 2 other groups.
You feel you'll have a good club then by the time the conference race opens?
I think we could have a good basketball team. Again, it depends on the big boys. We still have a problem that we've always had, and that is on the rebounding part of it.
Well, just personal interest. I have 2 adopted children, and then I have a husband that's been sick, and people helped us when he has had an amputation, and he is sick, and so it's just my nature to help people do things. I just love to do it, and I help any and everything that comes along that they ask me to help. In fact, my neighbor called me just a day or 2 ago to rush her child to the doctor. Had 5 stitches. I do all the time. But this is the most worthy benefit that anybody could give to, I believe, because this child is burned so severely that he's going to need all the help he can get.
of Martian moons Phobos and Deimos will be obtained throughout the mission, some from as near as 3 degrees to the equator. Global TV coverage can be constructed from a mosaic of 3 or more wide-angle pictures that cover the lighted portion of the planet disk and the atmosphere above it. Each orbit, a strip of overlapping wide-angle pictures will be taken from as close as 750 or 800 miles and recorded on the spacecraft. Each orbit produces a new strip of photo coverage, with later orbits filling in the lateral gaps. Beginning with TV mapping, other instruments will be making science measurements of the atmosphere and the surface of the planet. Each views Mars along the same line, and the data from each complements the others. Thermal mapping of the areas photographed will be provided by an infrared radiometer to correlate temperatures with surface visual appearance, and at each local point of occultation. Radio tracking data also contributes to another experiment, celestial mechanics, which will provide information to... Together, these experiments are expected to produce the most detailed profile yet obtained of the Martian surface and atmosphere.
What might be called the high-profile or most visible parts of the Crossroads Community Center are the medical care facilities and the very popular daycare center, both of which are located in the center at Forest Avenue and Jeffrey Street in South Dallas. But unquestionably, they aren't as important as the so-called core services located in the main building. This is also where the majority of the staff has its offices, where the public seeking help first meets the workers who may represent the city of Dallas or one of more than 24 affiliated agencies who keep teams in the center. The core services staff get it all together. They find out not only what problem brought the client to the center, but what other crises might be approaching in his life. Through talks with the client, staff members might learn that a woman who's come for help in getting a job might also have a family that hasn't eaten in a day or two. That can be remedied. Employment offices, welfare offices, visiting nurses, and a team of student social workers from 3 area universities are all centrally located in the Core Services building, and constant contact among the workers results in a wide gamut of services being offered. The staffs are constantly in touch with each other. There are only 2 new buildings so far at the center. Next to the Core Services building is the Medical Center, designed for far more customers than it now has. One of the chief complaints is lack of qualified people to handle medical duties. And of course, the thrust of recruiting is in the neighborhood. But managers aren't as concerned with color as with qualifications. About 55% of the workers in the Medical Center now are black. A smaller percentage now lives in South Dallas. When the staff is full, more services such as health clinics, X-ray diagnosis, which can be carried out in the center, and laboratory analysis will be offered. Already, equipment in the center is as modern and convenient as it can be. Facilities are extensive, such as this hemoglobinometer, a device to electronically count the hemoglobin in the blood in a solution. It's used to determine blood diseases. Also popular is an understaffed dental clinic with chairs developed at the University of Alabama. The new workstations use the 4-hand concept, with each dentist using as many as 2 assistants and everything needed for dental work right at hand. It's supposed to increase the efficiency of a dental chair 40 to 50%. None of which concerns these Crossroads Center clients, nor could they care less about the politics of the Crossroads Center Board of Directors. They know they're having fun with other kids their own age, and their parents know they're getting good care, a good meal, a chance for a nap while Mother and Dad are at work. It's a service offered by the center that, like many of the services, affects the whole family concept in ways that aren't apparent at first glance. Workers figure the kids benefit from being assured good care. Letting the mother get away from the house to go to work helps the whole family economically, and a better economic climate around the house will go a long way toward holding the family together and cutting down the divorce rate. A problem that the whole staff worries about could be called publicity. The people who know most about the center tend to be the ones who least need its services. To remedy that, part of the center staff is devoted to outreach, the process of going into the neighborhood and telling people about what's available at the center. It's a long, slow process, overcoming in many cases ingrained suspicion and mistrust. But they have hopes for the future. The future, in fact, is just about what the whole center is built around. They've just moved into the 2 new buildings, but already plans are being made for a new library center to house what's presently called the Forest Avenue Branch Library, as well as a brand new daycare center and a recreation building. Those plans were made when the entire center was planned years ago. Workers feel the completed Crossroads Community Center will not only be nice to look at, it'll change the whole outlook of South Dallas. Phil Reynolds, Channel 8 News on the Move.